Now we're going to return to the Conservative Party conference. David Cameron gave his keynote speech within the last couple of hours. Let's talk about the presentation, the personality behind it. I'm joined by Davies, a political presentation consultant who often works for the Conservative Party. Very good afternoon to you. In general, how do you think David Cameron did?
Well, this is something I thought I'd never say about David Cameron, but it was a brilliant piece of speech reading. Because, of course, I wasn't actually sure, first of all, which David Cameron would turn up. You see, we'd seen one tone on day one, the nasty Dave attacking Gordon Brown. Day two, we saw nice Dave offering bipartisan cooperation. And thirdly, today, we saw a rather stilted, ponderous Dave, but of course, it came across perhaps as statesmanlike as well. He picked up this habit of saying 4 words at a time and a long pause, and then slowly saying another 4 words. It sort of worked for him in this particular context, but perhaps it wasn't the real Dave. And secondly, we saw visually he'd chosen to go behind the lectern, which again is very un-Cameron-like. It's the first time he's done that in a major conference speech. He's clearly decided that novices wander around the stage, but prospective prime ministers stand still. And thirdly, there was a frightening visual decision taken by the Tories to have David Cameron in between, visually, Gordon Brown and William Hague. Sorry, Gordon Brown would have Freudian slip there.
Good.
Between George Osborne and William Hague behind him, like a sort of 3-headed Tory monster. And I think that was the most frightening display of almost Soviet-style solidarity at the top of the party.
OK, very interesting. Well, let's take a look at a couple of things from the speech. And he really did draw on his personality to be Prime Minister, didn't he?
I'm a 41-year-old father of 3, and for me, family is the most important thing there is. For me, for my country. I'm deeply patriotic about this country. I think we have an incredible past, but also an amazing future.
Well, the thing is that he managed to actually show some of his real personality there. He was actually drilling the camera, drilling the audience with his eyes. Sometimes when he's using a script in front of him, he dives down too much because, frankly, it's not necessarily a visual decision. He's very good at learning speeches, but not when they've just been written. There we actually saw some genuine personality, the genuine, open, affable Dave, and it was in quite rare supply in this speech.
Yeah, and sober was one of the words he used right at the beginning, and Adam Bolton agreed with that. But he did have a couple of jokes. Let's take a look at one of them.
Just think about it. If we really listened to this argument about experience, we would never change a government, ever. We would have... Wait for it. We'd have Gordon Brown as Prime Minister forever. I'm not going to go on. There are people in balconies up there.
More of what we're used to, I guess, from Cameron.
Well, you mentioned the word sober. I mean, it was an hour and 20 minutes. I think that people were gasping for some humour. It was sober, so sober sometimes that it was actually teetotal. But there, again, he handles humour so well. He manages to time it, he manages to practice it so well that it sounds genuinely spontaneous. It's one of the strongest weapons in his public speaking locker.
Policy is what many people will have been looking at that speech, and he tried to regain ground from the Labour Party on the NHS. Let's have a look.
Labour has taken what is, I believe, our most treasured national institution. They've ripped out its soul and they've replaced it with targets, directives, management consultants and computers. I'm afraid that Labour have had their chance to be shown whether they could be trusted with the NHS or not, and they have blown it. We are now the party of the NHS, and under my leadership, that is how it's going to stay.
Well, that was his most specific response to something specific from Gordon Brown's speech. Gordon had very definitely tried to steal the red water of the NHS back from David Cameron, who's always been using it as one of the main planks of his attacks on the Gordon Brown government over the last 15 months or so. He had to be as specific as possible. It's something that's very much core in David Cameron's political heart, and I think that was an absolutely necessary and vital part of the speech, and it was about as specific as the whole speech got, because it worked well as a piece of statesmanlike over 80 minutes, but it was light on specifics, except when it came to the NHS.
Graham, thanks for your analysis. Graham Davies there, political presentation consultant. Thank you.